Louder with Crowder Studios. Protected exclusively by Walther. And Hopper. Louder with Crowder's spooktacular U of M takeover, October 25th. Overflow room now at Pier Point Commons Lounge with costume contest, giveaways, and a whole lot of scares. Don't miss it.
I just want to, laugh about things every night, but...
God bless abortions and God bless America!
Bill Cosby says that being declared a sexually violent predator is going to damage his reputation. Not available for comment were all the women that he raped.
Hello, this is Canada.
It doesn't stop here. It's a one-way. It doesn't stop. The sound of the weekend. So are you petting your Walther? I am. Very grateful that they are sponsors to the show.
Walther.
We have a great show today. We have James O'Keefe on the show.
Boom.
The latest
Nice.
exclusive video we'll be talking about. We have Dean Cain on the show. And himself. And of course we have in third chair Owen Benjamin, hugepianist.com. Hugepianist.com. How you doing?
It's great to be back, my friend.
And then before I bring everyone else in, question of the day. Slow news week, obviously. A couple of stories, though. So what bothers you more, the media outrage at Donald Trump's warning to the Mexican caravan, or Hollywood's retroactive feminist outrage at Disney princesses? Comment below. We're going to be discussing both. Producing, of course, Quarter Black Garrett. Show me your pet. That's awful. I'm ashamed to be part of this program. And what's the wine of the day at G. Morgan Jr.?
We got a little bit Rudius. Cabernet Sauvignon.
Is that the one who sacked the quarterback even though he was undeserving to be in that team?
No, that's Rudy.
Do not like that
He
motion
made the
picture.
team.
No,
Okay.
he made the team by being a janitor.
You don't like Rudy?
That's not
No, I
true.
don't.
I haven't
You're
seen it in a
jerk.
while.
Go Irish.
Hear my dad talk about Rudy. He'll be like, he didn't deserve the spot.
He did.
It's true.
He didn't deserve it. It
did
doesn't matter
deserve
what
the
he
spot.
did with it. He shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Why is that pot? No, that's not true.
Hey, speaking of shouldn't be there, you will be at the show at U of M.
Yes, I will.
As will
In
Owen.
full Notre
University of
Dame
Michigan,
gear.
October 25th.
Yeah.
Just so a lot of people are going, well, hold on, I tried to sign up at Eventbrite or loudwithcrowder.com/tour, and it was sold out. No, we actually just reserved a big-ass room, Pier Point's Common Lounge. There will be an overflow party with prizes, costume contest, and our buddy Eric Nimmer will be there
Nice.
live. Yeah, so
That'll
we'll be
be
going back to Pier Point's Common Lounge by Skype because we couldn't really get Hill Auditorium. There's a lot of stuff going on. Just don't cross it off your list. Don't cross it off.
Be there. Yeah.
Come hang out. It's going to be a blast.
And we'll be visiting the lounge ourselves. By the way, leading the news. See, we finally got the news. I don't know, after only about 9 minutes in. Donald Trump, of course, this is all, the Twitter is all abuzz about this. He issued a warning to Mexico about the migrant caravan heading to our border. This came to us from CNBC. I must, in the strongest of terms, Donald Trump said, ask Mexico to stop this onslaught. And if unable to do so, I will call up the U.S. military and then, in all caps, close our southern border.
Yeah, all caps is important there.
Obviously getting a little dicier. And some people are concerned that we actually obtained exclusive audio from President Trump's call to the president of Mexico. Well, kind of.
Hello, Mexico?
No, senor. This is Taco Bell?
Yeah, I'm sure you just like taco. I know it's you in there, Pena. Okay, now I know, frankly, how to pronounce the little N's with the squiggly hat, and I know because you guys tricked me last year at New Year's when I said Ano, you filthy son of a...
Tostada?
Okay, quit the games, you tricky little beater. Listen, about that caravan, Pena. Stop giving them gasoline. Gasolino no bueno, okay?
But, senor, you're here at the drive-thru.
Damn it, I've had enough of your crap, Pena. I'm coming in. Hey, crap the brains, can you move it along? And I'll take a Nacho Grande.
I don't think they serve the Nacho Grande anymore. They're always taking a menu.
It is. It's
Always.
there.
That's the
Nachos El
takeaway
Grande,
here.
baby.
I got a dad joke.
What?
Caravan, more like Scaravan.
Oh,
Wow, we led
my
with that.
gosh. And look,
Yeah, we went that one.
I actually feel bad for these people, but how terrible are all of the other countries are basically pointing them north and handing them a map. Like they're not stopping them at any borders or anything.
Not at all.
I get that you're trying to escape hell, but don't come here. Go to Canada.
By the
Go
way,
around.
it is not hell because there are no cultures
Swim.
that are inferior and or
Oh,
superior
that's
to
not
any
true.
others.
Central America has just never gotten it together.
Caravans are a figment of your imagination.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like a marathon. They're like giving him water and Gatorade.
Here you go, guys. Keep going.
I don't know. I guess. Well, let's just pivot. There's nowhere else to mine here.
not really.
So turning to I guess entertainment news. Amy Schumer said that she feels quote really bad for women more attractive than her.
She feel really bad about a lot of
When
stuff.
asked
That's a lot of women to feel
about
bad
being
about.
compared to, I think a specific woman in the interview is what spurred it. She said, quote, being a woman sucks. I feel really bad for these girls who are so hot because guys can't handle it. You can't have a conversation. I actually feel really bad for them. Aw, that's so sweet, responded the woman in question while her boyfriend used Amy Schumer to help her over a puddle.
The big
Why should
Donald.
you be stepping on the junk area, bro?
Lady?
What a gentleman.
That is a gentleman, yeah. Chivalry
that's
is
what the
not
point
I
is.
dead.
particularly like
That's
how
what
the attractive woman where her foot placement is like just to add insult to injury.
Right
What a
to the
horrible
cooch.
person.
Right to the cooch.
The thing about like leftists, they don't see individuals, so it's just women. When she says I feel bad for women, or it sucks being a woman, she's basically
Yeah.
saying it sucks being me, and I don't know how to say individual, so I just say a demographic.
Yeah. This is like a beatdown for men every day.
It sucks being fat and slutty.
Crowder, it sucks. I feel bad for you because you're in better shape than me. Like the fact that
Better shit. You just have the big hips because you were a football player.
listen, I can bounce them.
Yeah,
I
there
can
you go.
bounce them.
Oh,
but
don't bounce them
you're,
again.
You're
I would do it,
stronger.
but I'm wearing black, so it doesn't show.
You're stronger, leaner, and quicker. Let's be honest.
I can't do it, right?
Freak athlete here is Gerald at G Morgan Jr.
Whatever.
It's all that wine, I guess.
It's beating up on Michigan.
It's
too.
actually I guess helps prevent estrogen.
I've got good cardiovascular
estrogen buildup in the body. The
circulation.
aromatase, I guess the resveratrol in wine is good for that.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
That's
out.
why you don't have dim titties. Here's something to give you nightmares. By the way, I love how Owen, when you're just talking about like a complete sociopath. You're not even looking at Gerald
He's
or
just
me.
looking
You're just
away.
talking like this.
Well, then I see my thoughts in my head.
Owen's like a cat. He's always plotting our doom. And every,
There'd be Christmas lights in my head.
No, but I'm protective. I'm like plotting, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm not
How's
sure we
that
can say the
good?
same about this first segment. James O'Keefe, Dean Cain coming up. Here's
God.
something that gives children nightmares. There's a video from a police dash cam
Wait,
that
hold on.
shows. We
This
have video,
gives
right?
you
That actually
nightmares.
shows a giant spider, ready and poised to attack a traffic cop.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, do we have the clip? That is, look, the thing is just, it's ready to pounce. That is absolutely
scary as hell.
terrible.
It's terrifying.
The spider, by the way, was later detained and questioned regarding assault on a police officer as well as his involvement with the Arachnid Brotherhood. So that does seem, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This
That
is
makes sense.
legit, like
That makes
your
sense.
stuff of your
That's
nightmares,
Nick
man.
Nolte's spider. You gotta join us if you want to be alive in the clink.
That's like Spider-Man's older brother that got into meth. He wasn't all about helping people. He's all about meth.
Yeah.
Dude, I have a deep fear of spiders, by the way. This is like Snake Island, what you did to me.
Oh, we were talking. Okay,
spiders.
here's the thing. You say Snake Island. Actually, in an area of several areas of Texas, but South Dallas, there are these spiders that now actually work as a team, and you will see
No.
that have whole canvases of spider webs over them. Oh yeah. We were driving by there at one point. We were on a road trip, Johnny
Yeah.
Boy and I.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? We walked up, and it's just the look on her face was, it's just. It almost looks as though it looks as though you're staring at a tree through a cheesecloth, and it's
Oh,
just
wow.
a film of spider.
Oh,
Someone
man.
tweet me at Escrider or tweet the pictures.
pretty
I
Instagram
horrible.
think I've
pictures
seen
to
that
Owen.
now that you say that. I didn't know it was a team of
Have you heard about
gigantic
camel
spiders?
spiders?
Oh, yeah, they're not
gosh.
really spiders though, technically.
What are they?
What are they?
They're technically closer to the scorpion family. Yeah, they eat like lizards and stuff.
They're gigantic, right?
Dude, some of my buddies that served in the Middle East say that they'll go in a camel and just
Really?
I don't know. They might be lying to me. I'm very gullible.
Garrett missed the visual with you. Show him again for people.
Yeah, no,
All right, good. We got it.
Yeah, I
we
think
got
we
it. So that's
figured
important.
that out, yeah.
For me, that really that drove
get
the
it.
point home. Otherwise, I would have been very confused.
Listening to the audio, sorry.
So finally, if spiders don't terrify you, there's this. Trying to think of how to introduce it. There's no way to. It's a new viral video entitled "My Partner Identifies as a Dog." Yeah, here it is.
I've been involved in pet play for my entire life.
pet play, huh?
A lot
Yeah,
of
that's a term
kids
we're
like to play pretend.
That's
they
a
like to
man.
pretend to be an animal.
What that is?
and
No, man to
enjoy
woman.
doing it. I just never.
That's a
grew up
Man to
with
woman to
that.
I
dog.
wanted to pet play through Tony.
This is
Yeah.
Started dating handlers.
Let's not put this in our
Glad
time
to do it.
capsules.
They say when the student is ready, the master appears.
Yeah, all the S&M gear. Yeah.
Oh, my
Every
gosh.
boy dreams of man's best friend.
Is it okay to call her a bitch?
What's that, Lassie? Timmy's in the well. You want to do weird sex tricks to him? Okay, boy. Girl. It's a girl. Lassie's
no
a girl.
longer good
the
enough-
actor was a boy.
Yeah, it's no longer good enough just to be gay.
Yeah.
Right? You really have to outdo the next.
There's levels.
I just, do you
have
see
to
it?
have
Like,
levels.
literally, they're sitting there talking. I mean, just what is this?
Like,
It's
this
just,
is normal.
Like, they're dressed up as a dog with leather chokers and the ball gag with the hull. Like, every kid has to go through a PowerPoint to tell their parents they want a dog. I'm going to walk it. I'm going to feed it. I will brush it. I will it. I will. It is
Whoa!
That's not what Sarah McLachlan had in mind.
hard to bleep on that. It's just so funny to me. They want this completely both ways.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
transgender.
exactly.
If you look at the comments, and there's
Yeah.
some people going, "Hey, whatever you want to do to live your truth." And in the same thing, by the way, it's transgender. I think male to female
Yeah.
or female to male.
So
So who'd have thought that? Surprise! You'd keep on going down that slippery slope into living as a dog. And he says, puppy play. And she goes, well. Or he goes, I don't know. Just hang me from the gallows
whatever it
for
is.
saying the
Whatever.
wrong thing. I don't
Doesn't
care
matter.
anymore. Whatever.
Yeah, just do it.
And she says, like, well, no, actually, I'm a real dog. But then later, going, well, let's just play. It's like, oh, you're a real dog? Yeah, but that's a crime. no, I mean, not a real dog because he still has sex with me, But
Well, if we could just treat these people as crazy, if they were okay with like, yeah, I'm kind of psychotic, I'd be okay with that. But they're saying, no, I'm completely normal.
Well,
Normal
we've
and healthy.
incentivized mental illness.
Yes.
I just hope Michael Vick kills this person.
We can put them in the ring, dog fighting when it's actually good.
Michael
Yeah.
Vick doesn't kill anybody. They always had a choice. It was tryouts.
Who let the dogs out?
Just saying dog. You're just saying dog-related title.
Yeah, that's just getting a little lazy.
Snoop Doggy Dog.
He's not. He's just Snoop now. I don't think he has
Cleveland
dog in the
Dog
name. It's like, what was it? Puff Daddy,
Lion.
P. Diddy, then just Diddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep changing. Can you just
Now I
keep
think
the
he's
same
dead.
name?
Sean Combs.
That's bad marketing.
Sean Combs. So I want to make sure I get the story right. So she's a male to female transgender before becoming a dog. So it's just this complete concoction of perversion.
Yeah, crazy.
It's a witch's brew of screwed up. And what's crazy to me is right now we're actually, we're trying to say this is absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you get to say this? We were just talking yesterday about Jazz Jennings. Was it
Yeah.
yesterday or no? Yesterday was
Yeah.
Devil's Advocate. 2 days ago with
2 days
Jazz
ago,
Jennings,
yeah.
who's talking about this little mishap where it came apart, talking about her penis or his penis to a girl. I'm confused. What
His
the
penis.
Jazz Jennings is a
penis can't
boy
apart,
to
that's all I
woman.
know.
So they
Yes.
have to slice it in half, invert it, banana split that whole business, and you have to make sure there's enough tissue so that you can do that. Inject yourself full of cancerous estrogen. We know what it
Yeah.
does to the male body when injected in excess amounts. And this person then, still, by the way, doesn't change their chromosomes, doesn't change the fact that the body tries to close it as a womb.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, I'm a," and we all go along. We're like, "Oh, yes, clearly, this is a healthful process." No, you don't get to draw. Here's the point: everyone has a line. You don't get to draw the line on someone putting on S&M gear, walking around like a Tamagotchi or a nano pet. When you allow Jazz Jennings, they are both equally absurd.
You don't get to draw your own line. By the way, there's more to this. I actually spoke with my fiance who's in the medical field about this, and apparently you have to keep inserting something into it.
Yes,
And it has to gradually be bigger.
because it closes itself as a wound, a sex change.
Because
Oh, you're still thinking about the dog? No, that would be that'd be animal abuse.
This
yeah.
is the filleting of the penis. We'll go back to something more sane.
Like, how is it not an illness if you require surgery and a lifetime
Hold on a
of
second.
treatment?
His fiance is a nurse. So I want to hear.
Yeah,
what she
yeah,
has
yeah.
to
She
say.
basically said, so you have to insert a dildo or some sort, whatever, right? And you have to keep
Whoa!
Whoa! Sorry, you can bleep that, I guess. I don't know. And then you have to
No, I
keep
won't.
it, like, it doesn't produce its own moisture, and so you have to keep it wet.
I like that word,
lubricated.
moisture.
Wait, is that actually a thing?
It's a thing. You
I knew
have to
about the
keep it
device. I didn't know
lubricated.
about the. We're not supposed to. You can't use the word moisture on the show.
Yeah, we got to bleep that.
Yeah, that's a bleep for sure.
That's a hard.
Not a
bleep.
bleep. What's the matter with
That's
you
something else
guys?
that really. It's just like with transgenderism, where Caitlyn Jenner just becomes a walking Barbie doll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I think I'm. So all of the stereotypes that we, that we have perpetuated as society or a patriarchal society of women.
Yeah.
That's all these transgenders really attempt to fulfill. They just end up being a walking stereotype of woman, but we never call them on that as totally accepted. It's the same thing here. These people are only attempting to perpetuate the fun stereotype of a dog. At least when Owen and I role play the weekends, we put some commitment into it.
Did you take a dump on my laptop? Woof.
By the way, why was I dressed as a blueberry for some reason?
I don't know. I think you were chewing bubble gum.
I was in Willy Wonka.
We're supposed to.
Oh my gosh. Look, I already feel awkward seeing dogs poop out in the wild. Like, they always look over their shoulder at you like, why are you looking at me? If I saw a human being doing this dressed up as a dog, I don't know what I would do.
Hopper doesn't look you in the eye.
He has no fear.
Like a Hodgkin.
Yeah.
I don't even like the word poop.
I don't like the word either.
It grosses me out.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
You wouldn't fare well in Germany.
Or Asia.
San Francisco.
Okay, so everyone got all the
out of my
wiggles out on this
system,
topic.
yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
You good?
I got one more joke about it if you want to
Okay,
hear it.
let me hear it.
This person has to go door to door at Petco to say that they're a sex offender. Who let the dogs out?
Snoop Doggy Dogg.
That's it. That's all I got.
Look at them bitches. Yeah.
Lil Bow Wow. Yeah. Lil Romeo. Yeah. Well, now you're not even dogs. You're just saying things with Lil. I don't know. Okay, so this is the topic we're going to be talking about because it's a slow news week, but I think this macro context matters. Coming off the transgender dog story, Keira Knightley and is it Kristen or Kirsten? I always get that wrong. I don't really care. Made news recently for taking issue with the classic Disney princess film. So both kind of took different approaches. But again, if you Google Keira Knightley, if you Google Kristen Bell, you can see just the laundry list of feminist complaints and male bashing. But in this instance, they were both very specific about the Disney films they hate and why. Let's start with Knightley's problems with, I think, Little Mermaid and Cinderella.
Cinderella, banned, because, she waits around for a rich guy to rescue her. Don't rescue yourself, obviously.
Wrong.
Right.
Oh, of course Ellen's going to clap. No man has ever rescued her.
I really like
Not even her father.
But Little Mermaid. I mean, the songs are great, but do not give your voice up for a man. Hello? Wow. So, yeah. Those were... So, but the problem with, The Little Mermaid, I love The Little Mermaid, so I'm having that. That one's a little tricky one, but no, but I'm keeping to it.
Give your voice up for a man. Didn't Ariel gain f***ing legs?
That's a pretty good trade.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
That's a great trade.
You can walk on land
But
now.
by the way, good bravery going on a lesbians talk show bashing men.
I do love her accent, though. I will say that. I'm going to be won over by
all right, so this was followed by Kristen Bell. I think this is an overlay because there's no clip of this. Finding Snow White problematic, saying that she wasn't comfortable with Disney films. These are some quotes from Kristen Bell. Every time we close Snow White and I look at my girls, I ask, don't you think it's weird that Snow White didn't ask the old witch why she needed to eat the apple? Or where she got that apple? I say, I would never take food from a stranger, would you? And, okay. This is, by the way, in the article. It comes from parents.com where she talks about why she's uncomfortable with the Disney film. That's the point! The point to it, the witch, that is the stranger danger. It's a conversation starter. It's like Aesop fable. They can't write. What are you expecting, to follow the bouncing Aesop along the bottom of the screen to learn the It's your job as a parent, where a witch goes, eat the apple, and she starts convulsing in a seizure for you to go, see, bad things happen with strangers. Are you too stupid to have children? How is this a problem? That's the point.
Well, the hilarious part is that she was a princess in Frozen. She was Anna. Yeah. She was the voice of Anna.
Yeah, I know. That's what she's trying to say. The old ones are bad. The new ones are good.
Of course, right?
Shut the door on it.
Like, she's like, Jack and Jill went up the hill. I got nothing. I hate these people so much. It's like the whole point.
And Kevin Spacey says, tell me more about Jack. Did he make it down the hill? He stayed up there. He stayed up.
Did he break his crown?
Did he break his crown?
What's a crown?
Did he get it fixed?
Did he break my crown in his polishing? Stop! You know what? You saw the ride. You bought a ticket anyway. Then Kristen Bell, she goes on to add, don't you think that it's weird that the prince kisses Snow White without her permission because you cannot kiss someone when they're sleeping? Congratulations, Kristen. You've completely missed the point of fairy tales.
Okay.
This is unreal. And this is just the macro issue that now all of a sudden there's a problem with this idea of princesses and princes and a dragon. We were talking about this with Jocko. There's a great book called Wild at Heart. It's Human Nature. But now it's become the movement, just like Me Too. Everyone's afraid to speak out. So Disney's been inundated with feminist complaints lately. And unfortunately, they've been crafting more modern fairy tales in response.
Princess, we are here to save you.
No, she can save herself. You look plenty empowered. I'm pretty sure she's got a handle on it.
Yeah, it's not because we're men. We just want to. Woo!
Sides. Are we doing a read of the English patient?
That took a hard turn. That's a burn victim out there.
Oh, Ariel's being taken by eight-legged Pauline.
Eight-legged Pauline, leave Ariel alone.
Yeah, Ariel, do you need help?
Do you need help, Ariel?
Ariel, do you need help?
We can't hear you.
We can't help her if she doesn't.
No,
she doesn't actively ask for it.
It's Title IX, bro.
Oh, Bowser! Bowser's taking Princess Peach to another castle.
You stay away from.
No, don't. She's got it. She's gonna handle all the castles.
I'll join in. Me too. That's yeah, me for it. That's the Devil's Triangle.
You mean like the drinking game?
Nope.
I should have seen that coming. What were you about to say something?
Hollywood now thinks a fairy tale is just a snappy story from a gay guy.
Yeah.
So I just thought that one out.
Wow.
All right, well, let's try
How
and
many of
flow
the
into
dad
River.
jokes are we going to do here?
No, it's little boys like rescuing princesses, and little girls like being pretend rescued.
Yes.
That's it. It's as simple as that. But
Makes no sense.
here's something else that people don't notice, and we'll get into each kind of. We'll go through a few examples of Disney. I think it's important to get into the specifics.
Yeah.
Now, why does this matter? Why are you spending so much time on Disney? For the same reason that people complain about there not being enough black people in films, and then I laughed my ass off in Beauty and the Beast when they had black people in powdered wigs in the 1740s and France.
1700s, yeah.
Like, come on! There's a give and take. There aren't enough female. For the same reason I get mad, they said there aren't enough female directors. You see the whatever one of the producers at Blumhouse said there frankly just aren't that many female directors out. And they go, this is from Vulture, and they say, well, we have a hefty list of women who would be qualified, and they have the one woman who did Monster and Wonder Woman.
I'm friends with her. She's cool too.
And then the others are like, this woman directed a bunch of X-Files episodes. Like,
That's
literally, and the list was 3. It was 3. And so my problem here is just that we're saying all people have to be all things, and we have to change anything retroactively that might be considered offensive. And I don't even think there's anything offensive about this.
Yeah.
If you look at the way these women, these female princesses in Disney are portrayed, they're always portrayed as capable, but submissive, like Snow White, Ariel, Cinderella. And then the men are always portrayed as strong men who are gentle and loving with the woman. Men who will slay the beast, but gentle, so firm with the bad guys. Like that's actually how we're called to be as husbands and wives biblically, and it's also what's best for society. It's complement. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong, and that's the part of the Bible that most people skip over because it says wives be submissive to your husbands, but right after that it says husbands love your wife and lay down your life for her. There's nothing wrong with laying down your life for your wife. Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. She should be submissive in that point.
Then it goes on to say, wife, lay down for your husband.
Oh, yeah.
Repeatedly.
That's
all day, day.
Yeah.
Somewhere in
gotta
the
do
back.
black voice
Says that in Revelation. And then I saw before me a man on a pale horse.
Sacrilegious. Stop it.
Saying all day, day. I don't know. Okay, Cinderella. Let's use the example of Cinderella because that's what the first one. Cinderella's a love story. I actually, when I see Cinderella, I don't know about what you think. I see it as a good example of a man helping a woman out of an abusive relationship.
Of course.
The stepsisters.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Women are more likely to be abusive, by the way, emotionally abusive. That's more common than men. I'm like, oh, that's a good thing. They're the real villains. They're the metaphorical dragons, by the way. Prince Charming, both in Cinderella and as this kind of archetype, again, gentle, caring, no tolerance for evil cruelty.
Yeah.
He seeks out the goodness in Cinderella. And this is, again, Cinderella. Look at Cinderella. She's very capable. She's smart. She's pretty. But she's submissive. She's not offing the stepsisters, which most of us would do.
Yeah.
You know, that's the
appropriate
That's
response.
the prince's job to come in and do that because it shows complementarianism, right? Like a BFF sort of locket.
Yeah.
We complement each other. You got gaps, I got gaps. Together we fill gaps.
So true.
And by the way, she uses her one wish to be proactive and fix the situation, and then the prince is looking, saying, "Oh, listen, I'm going to use this slipper just to guarantee that I don't wind up with those bitches."
Right.
It's good all around. Speaking of which, hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot on YouTube, and join Mug Club if you're enjoying the show. And Hopefully you're enjoying the show. LiveWithCutter.com/MugClub. You get the show every single day. It helps support the show. Of course, you can also subscribe on iTunes. Please rate us because it helps people listen to it.
I kind of want to know where feminists want us to fall down right now, because this toxic masculinity thing that's being portrayed out there in the culture is that men are too overbearing, and then you get this prince in these shows, right, that is actually not overbearing at all. He's chivalrous, he serves, he helps people, he defeats the dragon, like you said, he does.
Heroic.
Where do you want us? You're telling us that we're really bad in one way, and then the opposite direction, there's no safe quarter there either. What do we do?
Prince is part of the 1%.
Well, of course.
Well, the reason
Who has a crystal slipper? That filthy son of a bitch!
He stole it.
How many Tom's shoes could he have given to children in the African savannah by pawning the one gold slipper?
Wait, Savannah? I think it's Sahara, not Savannah. Savannah's in Georgia.
Well, isn't there Savannah? I have no idea.
There's a Savannah in Africa.
I'm straining with Gilbert. Go.
Well, it's this is why I know it's nonsense. Is the things they promote are insane, like 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they have no problem with that. That's like 50 counts of rape. That's an
That's just two people having a good time.
That's an
a
amoral.
bullwhip doesn't cost as much as a freaking crystal slipper.
Yeah, they don't want good guys. They don't want the prince. They want a billionaire to put you in a red room and simulate rape. I mean, that's an insane movie.
But his name is Christian.
Which is, by the way, another funny thing to me that people, first off, I'm much more inclined to believe the Devil's Triangle, we didn't talk about this a ton on air, is a drinking game because you're writing about it publicly in your yearbook. And again, we're using Urban Dictionary from the last 5 years to try and apply it back, unless Kavanaugh had a DeLorean. And even then, Devil's Triangle doesn't mean rape. Since when does Hollywood care about sexual perversion? Like, when do you put it in every single movie?
Yeah. They're obsessed with sodomy. Yeah, and it's crazy how words will switch. Like, square used to be a compliment back in the day, and then it became an insult.
Yeah.
Like 60 years ago, if you said someone was square, it meant they were a good guy. They were squared up.
Yeah.
And then it became like a nerd. It's like words just keep changing and changing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Like it. So the next one is Snow White.
That used to mean a postmenopausal woman with no children or a very drunk man because it meant a burdensome person. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I knew bundle of sticks.
Bundle of sticks.
Yeah, because that was
Like
the
a bundle of
metaphor.
sticks.
You're like, it's on your back like a burden.
Oh.
Yeah, and it also meant gays because they have kids.
Yeah. See, I just always use it for gays. So the next example uses Snow White. We're going to get letters. Snow White. Let's go to Snow White. Okay, so the princess in Snow White hides from an evil witch who wants to kill Snow White, right, in order to be the most beautiful of them all. Kind of sounds like the Amy Schumer story from earlier. She's in a puddle now. But that's the point. The point is, they're bitching about kissing someone who's sleeping.
Yeah.
The context does matter. Context over content. Keep in mind that Snow White has already fallen in love with the prince. Here's a clip. Evidence. All right.
Singing.
Come on down here, girl.
He's clearly a fag, but she's not in on it yet.
Yeah.
She doesn't know.
Look at this.
Aw, I love it.
She's into it.
Okay. This means I want to bear your children. Okay? This is the equivalent to consent. I don't care what happens after. No, but the point is, she likes. I know people are going to say, you think if a woman does this, it gives you the right to rape her? Yeah. So the point is, and by the way, if there were any doubt as to how she felt about the prince, she goes on to sing about meeting her prince again. Here's another clip.
Someday my prince will come. Someday we'll meet again.
Rape.
And the way to his castle will go.
They all sing the same way back. That's enough. That's enough. I've had enough of that Snow White thing. But the point is here. I mean, it could not be clearer that she likes the prince.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you want to complain about something weird, the girl has a midget fetish. She's hanging around with 7 midgets, one with a drinking problem, one with narcolepsy. I'm pretty sure one of them was bipolar. Like, there's a lot weird with this film.
They looked a little gay, too, with their sitting in like,
One was a cokehead, Sneezy.
Yes.
They prefer to be called People McNuggets, though. I think we've talked about that.
I think Little Troopers.
We need to clear that up.
Little Troopers.
But Snow White,
what the?
Snow White was 1,024th Native American, though, so she wasn't that white.
So that means it's okay to rape her, I guess, is what you're saying. I have no idea where this went. Scalp? I guess it's okay to scalp her? Consent for scalping?
At this point.
No. Okay. Here's something else that people don't remember. Snow White, when the prince kisses Snow White, by the way, he's gone through the witch, right? It's not always a dragon, but the point is he fought somebody off to rescue the princess. There is sacrifice. This is another constant that we see, not only through all literary work of fiction, pretty much, but particularly in Disney films. There's sacrifice at the altar of self, effectively. You are sacrificing something that would obviously be good for someone else. That's part of a relationship. That's actually a good lesson. So the prince has sacrificed his safety in a lot of ways, and obviously he's basically leaving the safety of the kingdom, searching for Snow White. When he finds her, by the way, he doesn't think she's sleeping. He thinks she's dead.
Looks dead to me. Yeah.
Hold on a second. We're going to have to blur this. Here comes the rape.
Oh, geez.
Hashtag me too.
Rape!
There it is.
Oh. See? He's sad.
Oh,
they're sad. We're sad.
We did have to edit out, though, doesn't that when Grumpy's just going, the hell's the difference?
You remember when kissing used to be safe, right? You could be dancing with a girl at a party or something like that, and you're feeling the vibe. She doesn't, pull away. You kiss her, and you weren't accused of rape. Do you remember that? Now we have dating apps that have consent that you can actually click on, both of you, so that you have consent in writing before you do something like that.
How did you know?
Is that real?
That's absolutely real.
Is that real?
Google it.
I
that app is real.
missed
I'm not
all
kidding.
of it,
There's
man.
a consent app
Is
right
it
now.
not consent when you
stuff.
sign up for the dating app?
I thought consent was.
What did you think you were signing up for? MySpace?
No. It's an app just for consent. It's not a dating app.
Oh, it's like a form?
Yes.
Like an e-sign form?
Take video. You can select yes. I
get my
consent
iPencil.
to this. Yeah. How romantic is that? By the way, I'd like
We're
to.
planning
kiss you.
second
I might
base,
also-
third?
Yeah.
Not anything weird, right?
Is it a
Just use my
negotiation
general
form?
orify?
My form.
I think we're all starting to just realize that being a sexual conservative is the way to go. People can't handle this. It's not good for women.
Right.
They're almost reverting back to old school morality because this Tinder thing is making them feel like a soft rape all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're not made for it. It's a fact. I believed a lie when I was in my 20s. It's not true. And my wife, by the way, if I kissed her sweetly while she was sleeping, she'd be fired up. She'd be like, oh, that's really nice. But usually I just go get coffee and do my own thing.
Usually I just have sex with mine.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, well, he's
It's
winning.
not, you're your wife.
Yeah. Wife.
Doesn't matter.
You can do it.
Wakefulness does not equal consent. No, it's true. If you kiss
My
your
wife
wife,
sleeps like this.
does she sleep like this?
Yes, that's why.
That means no.
Very defensive.
That's an X.
Very defensive. Oh, God.
You have to give it again. Garrett
I
missed
cut it. I cut
What
it.
are your wife? There you go. All right. Yeah.
That's how I kiss, by the way.
Yeah. All right. But so basically, you treat your wife like a little brother, where you're doing the loogie, and you keep sucking it back. You're like, "Is it sexy?" All right, let's go to the next example. We have to move this train along. Little Mermaid, as they use it. So the Little Mermaid is basically about a young woman choosing a different
Love that
life,
movie.
despite the expectations of her.
Yeah.
Feminists see this as a woman giving up her voice for a man. Again, sacrifice is necessary. It was her choice.
Yes.
And by the way, it wasn't like a complete sacrifice. She traded in a voice for legs.
Yeah. And she was singing underwater.
Yeah.
In here, underwater.
She
There's
sold
no
out her own
sense.
dad. Didn't her dad get killed or something because of her choices?
I have no idea.
You're getting too deep.
It's like feminists today. It was like, why did she have to give up her job? What? She had quadruplets. She exchanged a job for the joy and wonder of motherhood.
Right.
There are trade-offs, especially in relationships. There are trade-offs, by the way, from is it a prince in Little Mermaid? The guy with the puffy shirt.
You know.
I think he's a prince.
He's going after her after he's going after her. I'm pretty sure he lost his inheritance. The guy's getting busy with a fish.
If there's a puffy shirt, he's a prince. And also, it's kind of ableism to think that you can't have a voice and you're not cool. I wish I didn't have a voice.
That's a good point.
I talk too much. I wish that someone would take my voice.
If someone
I
could
did
take
not
your
mean
voice,
that.
if someone could take your voice or your legs, what would you keep?
I would keep legs.
Yeah.
Really? But then you would be able to make a living.
I'd keep legs.
I would become really creative because I always
By
like
necessity.
the dudes in movies that don't talk a lot, and I talk so much.
Yeah.
Like John Wick, it's great. He just doesn't talk. He just loves his dog and killing Russian people.
And everybody
Which
thinks
is
you're
what
really
we
cool
love
too.
in the U.S.
Yeah.
They all think you're really
they all
cool.
think you're really cool. No way. So here's the thing. It's not only content through Disney. Again, I want to hear what you think about this. We have 5 women who I polled here at Louder with Crowder.
Yeah.
And all of them agreed, except on maybe 1 or 2 different points. Like, no, when I was young, I played a princess.
Yeah.
I wanted to be rescued.
Yeah.
And here's one thing, too. Hold your nose here, because here comes the cold water. The idea that young girls should be taught to simply rescue themselves, by the way, as Kristen Bell, it's not always great either. You know why? Because they can't. Just like men, if left to their own devices, women would not be able to physically protect themselves. Just like men would not do well taking care of themselves without the support. It's complementarianism. Disney inadvertently recognized the virtue in traditional heterosexual relationships and the values that each person brings uniquely therein. Guess what? If Bowser wants to kidnap Peach, he's kidnapping Peach. He's a freaking dragon that breathes fire. She's a 120-pound princess with a sunbrella. There's no chance in hell she's getting out alive. Now you toss in a couple of hairy-backed human fire hydrant-sized plumbing Italians, the numbers game increases a little bit.
I love that game, by the way. It's
Right
so
there,
fantastic.
Which game, Mario?
Mario, yes, that was epic. A guy goes and rescues the princess every single time.
And here's the thing, but she's always in another castle.
That's true.
Very annoying.
Every time.
How dare she?
And one other thing too that really bothers me is not only can you not look at previous words like we talked about Devil's Triangle with today's definition, a lot of people think that fiction is up to interpretation. That's part of what is enjoyable about fiction is that you can kind of take from it what you want. I understand that. That being said, not all interpretations are as valid. So if a feminist is looking at this saying, well, hold on a second, I'm watching Disney, I'm seeing Beauty and the Beast, and I'm seeing a woman who's locked in. No, I'm seeing a strong, intelligent, nerdy woman who's also getting stuff and sacrifices her well-being for her father, right, to save his life, and then ultimately she sacrifices herself for the Beast's love. Then the Beast ends up sacrificing himself against Gaston for the woman. This is all about self-sacrifice. This is all about people actually being brave and dying to oneself. As we know as Christians, you die to the flesh every single day. That's what this is about. And I know that they maybe didn't necessarily mean it to be that deep, but it's not fair to look at these old Disney films through today's lens and act as though your interpretation is just as valid. No, because you know what? If you were to ask the screenwriter, if you were to ask the author, if you were to say, hold on, was this meant to be an anti-woman screen? Was this really meant to? And the guy would say, no, it's what Steven said. It was just princess damsel. Yeah, no, what he said is correct.
It's just their own confirmation bias.
That was the intent of the author.
Yeah.
And to try and act as though it was, and the reason we're doing it is because we want to act as though there's some kind of conspiratorial patriarchy behind Disney films. Now, granted, the phallic symbol on top of the castle on the old Little Mermaid VHS, it's a little messed up.
Yeah, there's wieners in it. That's
a penis.
Yeah,
that is
there's some
absolutely
wieners.
a penis.
Multiple wieners.
There's
You don't
multiple
accidentally make
wieners.
a penis. That's a penis.
Multiple erections in Little
the
Mermaid
erection.
too.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
That's pretty creepy.
Really creepy.
It was Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, why are they not complaining about that?
That's the problem, is the wieners.
Little boys need a princess to rescue, and little girls want a boy to rescue them. Doesn't mean that they're helpless, by the way. Here's something else. Let me ask you this. Let me put it this way. You get home, okay? And let's say your wife, for most men, okay, let's just go with men. Sorry, I'm not going to try and act as though it's the same on both sides. So for a man, you come home, your wife makes dinner. Did you need her to do that? No. Do you like it? Yeah. Did you want it? Yes. Woman, you come home. Woman, you come home, your man's got you flowers. Did you need him to get you flowers? Does that mean that you're helpless? Does that mean that you're weak? No, it means he did something nice for you, and he's probably more effective at getting you a surprise gift of flowers than you can for yourself, unless you're a paranoid schizophrenic like Bernie Sanders. He's the only one who's able to surprise you with flowers. It's a nice thing. Just like somebody fighting off the dragon. It's a nice thing. Just like a woman sacrificing something for her man because she loves him, greater than the item that she is sacrificing. It's a good thing. Instead, we say all of these things are bad. Let's go put ball gags on our dogs. Let's come back after this with James O'Keefe and Dean Cain. I can't do this.
We interrupt this program with breaking news on Louder with Fowler. I'm Perry Matheson. Canada has now legalized marijuana across the country, thrusting the nation into the international spotlight as a national experiment. Though the future remains uncertain, economists are forecasting Canada to remain an unproductive and mostly inconsequential country. We'll keep you abreast as this story unfolds. For breaking news on Louder with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson.
It is Fly. Our next guest is Fly, and he's very busy. He's got to fly. Gosh, Owen really ruins me with the puns. I'm terrible with the puns and the play on words. You know him, Project Veritas is where, of course, you can support him, projectveritas.com. You can follow him on the Twitter, at James O'Keefe, the third. Now, James, people obviously know who you are. Is that spelled with 3 I's, capital I's?
Yeah, my dad's James O'Keefe. My grandfather's James O'Keefe, so I'm Roman numeral 3. James O'Keefe, I, Roman numeral 3.
Okay, good.
Twitter.
What if someone enters in James O'Keefe and the actual number 3 on Twitter? Do you come up?
Work. be a different. That'll be someone who's pretending to be me. I'm not verified on Twitter, Stephen. I've got 460,000 followers, but Jack Dorsey has not verified me on Twitter yet.
Hold on a second. Let me check this out. If I type in James O'Keefe, yeah, it's just a Twitter egg with a dick pic.
There you go.
It seems as though you should appear before that. All right, there's a segue. Why is, well, you know what? First off, let's go to a clip of your latest video. It's making the rounds. There's been a lot of fallout from it. For those who aren't aware, here's a short clip.
So you would be on board with the bump stocks?
Of course.
Bump stocks.
Oh, I've voted
high capacity mags.
I've voted for most of those things before.
For a ban?
Oh yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah.
I asked her while she was here, and she told me she supports an AR ban, and bump stock ban, and a high capacity magazine ban. But I don't ever hear her say it.
Because she has a bunch of Republican voters.
We don't want them to.
They're not going to look into her. They're just not.
There we go. That's interesting. People can go, of course, ProjectVeritas.com, go to YouTube. I'm sure there are plenty of places where they can find it as long as you are not deplatformed. Why does Claire McCaskill hate you so much? It seems that the reaction here has been really severe.
Well, because, the reaction, we've done this 2 stories, one in Tennessee, one in Missouri. And in these red states, these Democrats have to appeal to moderate voters. So we talk to their staff. In some cases, we talk to the candidate. And they say, well, we really have to mislead voters. We have to essentially lie, is what the McCaskill campaign staffer says, to get elected. We're just like Obama, but, quote, people can't know that. So we, as we do, covertly recorded this. And now McCaskill wants to appoint a special prosecutor to criminalize what I have done.
Yeah.
So instead of the expose, it's now a crime for me to do this. And now she said that her opponent was involved. That's outrageous. I responded. So all this fallout, Stephen, and every local TV station is covering it. And there's a debate. There's a Senate debate tonight in Missouri. So this whole thing is sort of blown up.
Do you think she's still just a little bit upset that she obviously represents a previous slave state? Do you think she's just some guilt bubbling over?
I think there's a lot of bizarre dynamics. I'm not from, I'm from New Jersey. I'm new to the Missouri thing, but I think that the politics of Missouri are so bizarre because people in the Democratic Party are very moderate, and they have to kind of deceive certain voters, and they're all admitting this. It's sort of the political reality.
Well, it's the political reality of the Midwest. Do you think it's because it's sort of that Midwest appeal where you have kind of the workers, sort of this union mentality, this sort of beltway, kind of traditionally blue dog Democrats, but they're not really the dyed-in-the-wool leftists like you would have in San Francisco or in Portland, and so the Democrat politicians kind of try to fake as though they represent that. Do you think that's a portion of it?
I think that is correct. I think that there are certain states like Missouri, and there are dying parts of the Democratic Party, and in order to get elected into the Senate as a Democrat in that state, you have to mislead, or at least they think they do. So we recorded all these staffers. It's their words, not mine. Again, I'm not like Bob Woodward. I don't relay anonymous quoted sources from other sources 6 months after the fact. I only report it if you can see it and hear it coming out of the person's own mouth. So she's upset. Claire McCaskill issued this bizarre statement that I'm affiliated with her opponent, which is absolutely categorically false. And then this guy Hawley denied it. And now she's calling for a special prosecutor. It's blown up. And
special prosecutor for what? What crime are they trying to say that you've committed here? Because it's a single party consent state.
The ambiguous fraud. I committed fraud. It's legal to record in Missouri. It's a one-party consent state. There's no duty to keep confidential. In fact, I would argue I have a civic duty to make public the revelations that people were saying. But this is just what they do, Stephen. I'm a controversial figure. People don't like being exposed. It's irrefutable nature of it. It's just so damning. And I think it's just an incredibly damning piece of video that we've got. And the knee-jerk reaction is to just put him in jail, put O'Keefe in jail. It's like, well, for what? It's not criminal to record someone, especially if they're saying these things, and it needs to be disseminated, as far as I'm concerned.
And you've done this quite a bit. Have you ever had someone just go, "That's one for you, James. You got me. You caught me," and just sort of come clean after? Has that ever actually happened?
Yes, it has. It is sort of a fascinating question, because I think once in a while, even people on the left, they'll send me private emails. The New York Times or the Washington Post they do send me private emails, private messages. And they'll say, one of them said, how did you get that guy to talk?
Yeah.
It's like they're impressed by what we're able to show, because if you're a traditional reporter, your sources are either anonymous or they're on the record. And they're not going to be as honest, and they're not going to be as transparent. So when you have campaign officials saying we have to lie to get elected, it's so damning. And in a state like Missouri, what she's saying, banning semi-automatic rifles in New Jersey or California or New York, that might sound like a typical. You cannot say that in Missouri and get elected.
And even you could not say it in New Jersey if people in New Jersey could understand what semi-automatic rifle meant or read it. But particularly as it relates to people think semi-automatic, they think it's burst fire. No, it just means pretty much every rifle that's not a pump action shotgun or lever action rifle. So even then, it's really just because a lot of these people who are bicoastal, they're not entirely aware of what these terms mean. No, I was talking more as far as someone you've actually stung. I guess sting. Is it like hanged, hung, or is this stinged? With a sting operation, any actual subject, has any one of them just said, you know what, James got me. All right, I'm bowing out here because I did say it. That is true. Have they ever?
Steve, I did confront, like 60 Minutes. Mike Wallace used to do this. I've started to do this now, where I confront the subject on the street. Mm-hmm. So with McCaskill's guy Nick Starost, I don't know if you have this clip handy, but I actually walked up to him as he's walking into his campaign. I had my iPad and I showed him the footage. He just kept saying the same thing. I'm not authorized to speak to the press. I'm not authorized to speak to the press. I said, Nick, you already are in the press at literally every local TV station, KTVI, KCWE, ABC News, every TV station in Missouri is playing you right now. What do you have to say? He said, I can't talk to the press.
He's an NBC.
I think I don't know if they're going to fire these people or if they're going to stand behind them. They have admitted they've said what they've said. So in this case, no, they're not acknowledging that you got me. They have not acknowledged that in this case.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone acknowledge that ever at any point. I'm just curious, because it happened with us. We do this Crowder Confront segment. It's not really going after politicians, but inaccuracy in the media or people who threatened, to kill me. And so then we find them. And one was this writer for the Austin Chronicle who described an entire video that was uploaded, but never actually uploaded the video, put the video, embedded it in her article. And that's because she omitted certain key details, like the fact that the other subject in the video actually plotted to slash my tires. And I said, you write in your article that the 6'3" Stephen, 220-pound Stephen Crowder approaches this, and you really kind of create this sort of victim and villain scenario. But why didn't you show the video where she says she did plot? She's like, well, do you want me to quote you on that? I said, no, don't quote me on that. It's in the video you're describing. The person says it there. Of course that's me writing that I want to slash your tires. Oh, so would you like me to quote you on that, Stephen? No, I don't quote anything. Just don't hide the video. It is amazing the kind of, I don't know if you ever had this, because people often talk about, well, this is misleading and it's unethical for James O'Keefe.
Right.
I think it was Daily Beast. I can't remember who, so Daily Beast, don't sue me if it was some site like that. They were doing some article and they asked me about something. I said, well, is this off the record? They said, yeah, it's off the record. And then it appeared in the article. So I said, well, now I understand how that works. They'll just lie about it. And it happens all the time. You're honest.
I have a whole wall in my office. I'm not in my headquarters right now. I'm on the road. But I have a wall, and it's called Wall of Shame. We have gotten journalists to print 300 retractions over the year. My greatest achievement, my crowning achievement in life is when I get a mainstream journalist to print a retraction. I mean, I've got a Washington Post guy one time to print a retraction about saying that I excluded something from a video. What they're saying now is that I, quote, make people say things. I love the pretzel wrangling of the journalists here with the spin. He makes people say things. Do newspaper reporters make you say something, or do you just say it? It's just, I mean, we're living in a very tribal world where no one's ever going to admit fault, but that's the beauty of covert recordings. And then they say it's unethical. Let me just address this for a minute, because I think our world is changing, and I think people need to know why this is the future, these surreptitious recordings. We never bug a room. We're always next to the person. We have no duty to keep confidential what people tell us, no more than when you write down what someone says. When someone tells you something, you write it down, you share it with the world.
Right.
But recordings do it more justice. Recordings capture it accurately. And this is a necessary thing. This is the future of what we're doing, and it's a brave new world. But the media doubles down; they have no shame, and the only way local media is the way we break through.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always wondered that when you're watching the films, or you have the April O'Neils of the world going, all right, can I get a quote, and they're writing it down on a notepad. I'm going, you couldn't possibly have written all that down. There's no way. Does anyone have a recorder? Back then it would have had a whole cassette. Nowadays you have an iPhone. Of course it's going to be more accurate, and you also have proof for somebody else. But as we talk about, the left likes to live in the dark. What do you think is going to happen with this debate? We have to get going here, and I appreciate you stopping at apparently what is the patriotic equivalent of the Bates Motel, but your internet's giving us a little bit of problems here. What do you foresee happening with the debate?
The woman at the desk here, you can put that on your wall here. Steven Crowder quote. You're in. That's great. She's sitting right over there. Yeah. So I will say that the debate tonight in Missouri. We've gotten a reaction from Steve Bresnan. Steve, we've got a whole bunch of more videos from other Senate races coming out in the coming days ahead.
Okay.
And stay tuned. It's going to be a fun 2 weeks.
All right. So that's projectveritas.com. And, of course, people can usually find this on YouTube. And James O'Keefe, 3 eyes. Do not enter in the number 3, as I just specified earlier, unless you want to never eat eggs again. James, thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, here we go. Don't be a victim. And miss out on Louder with Crowder's Halloween Spooktacular U of M Takeover October 25th. Costume contest details to follow. Overflow room at Pier Point Commons Lounge.
Buddy ran away. Things will get better. Orphanage ain't lit. Gay mother.
Kind of sad when you think about it. Bunny ran away. Our next guest is one of the stars of the latest film, the Gosnell movie. Of course, we had Anne McElhinney and Falim on the program. You can follow him at the Real Dean Cain, not the at Real Dean Cain, but I just say
that's somebody
Dean
else.
Cain. You know what else? Also, he's also somebody who people often confuse me. They say, "Hey, are you a young Dean Cain?" I say, "No, I'm Steven Crowder." They go, "Oh, I thought so." We often we have that in common. How are you, Mr. Cain?
I'm doing well. I understand that. They give me that time. They're like, "Are you an old Steven Crowder?" I'm like, "No." No.
And by old Steven Crowder, they mean current Steven Crowder. I'm getting gray here at 31, and you don't have one. Are you just fermenting it, or is this just all natural?
I don't. No, it's. I have like a little bit here, little piece here, 1 or 2, and then when I grow my beard, it gets gray.
Oh,
and
does it?
Look sage. Yeah, it's gray in there.
Okay. Well,
my son says I look 10 years older.
Are you always tan? Are you always tan?
Yeah. Because I live in Malibu, California, and it's gorgeous all the time.
Yeah.
And if I don't have a tan, apparently I have a sickly green color.
Right. No, but skin cancer notwithstanding, I mean, is it like a racial thing, as a with your ethnically ambiguous sort of heritage, or just naturally more golden?
Skin cancer notwithstanding. No, I think I kind of have a green tint to me, but it's always sunny here. It's always beautiful. So you're always outside doing things. So I have a bit of a tan. And if I don't have that, it's not a good look.
Really? I think it's always a good look.
It's not the ethnic makeup. The Japanese in me doesn't give me the dark. And certainly the Irish and the English don't do it.
Okay, before we get to Gosnell, but before we get to the Tom Arnold dust up, have you ever played that up? Like you said, the Japanese heritage. Be honest, for a role, have you ever gone in, Japanese. Maybe tried to dress a little more stereotypical, or bowed a little bit, or spent some more time in the sun? Have you ever used it to your advantage? Be honest.
No, never. In fact, I've played Latino.
Yes.
I played Italian. I've played things like that, but I've never played Asian, ever.
Racist.
Never, ever. And, if I was trying to get into Harvard, which why would I do that? Because I went to Princeton. It would be a detriment. So, no, I have not used the Asian card. I haven't played my Asian card. But I promise you, I am more than 1,024th.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say. Which, by the way, Asian, land bridge, Native American. So you are more native than Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, I probably 20 times as much, to be honest, which would make me 400th or something.
Probably more than you'd probably be surprised. You'd probably be surprised. Do you not process alcohol well with your Asian heritage?
I don't know. I try to process it very well.
I don't know. I don't remember the last time I drank. It was probably last night. I just don't remember. I don't know. No, because
that was good. That was between
the 23.
You went from from Indian to
Japanese really
was
quickly.
good.
I went from how to I don't know, and I have a sake. No, the 23andMe. I talked about this with one of my doctors, my psychiatrist, because people are going to look, he's crazy. We did genetic testing, and they've been using this for quite a while. And I'm what they call a super metabolizer. So in other words, it's very difficult for me to get drunk. Or when they put me under for surgery, both times they said count backwards from 10, and I counted backwards from 10 twice. So they had to up it to the maximum gas dose, and they seemed surprised. And they looked into my genetic, and they go, oh, okay, well, this actually makes sense. There's this kind of, whatever it is. There's a whole thing about it. But the point is, I sat down with a doctor, but I didn't use it to necessarily prove that I was 1,000th, 24th. Native American. Have you seen other actors do that, though, the Elizabeth Warren, to try and get a leg up with roles?
No, I mean, I haven't noticed that. At least I haven't been involved in that in the casting process or seen that. Possibly it's done.
Steven Seagal. He's gone from being Italian to I spent all of my years with the blacks in Detroit to then he's Italian to then Native American. Come on.
Yeah, he did. That's interesting. But he started with the Italian, and I think he was in pretty good shape. With the Italian.
Yeah, with the Italian.
And it went a little further. Now he's a Russian, so I don't even know.
Exactly.
It's all over the place.
Have you seen his Russian dancing? You ever seen that when he's down the square? He's literally like they're doing the other, and it's like a child who doesn't know the lyrics to a song. When I was in French Canada, I remember these kids used to like Simple Plan and Eminem, and they would try and sing. They remember 2 trailer park girls go round the outside. Remember that Quarter Black Garrett?
Yep.
Yeah, white guy. And they would say in English, they were French. They go 2 trailer park girls go round the offside, round the offside, run. So that's what at Steven Seagal dancing. They're doing this whole, and he literally goes like this.
Of course, there it is.
And he's doing it. It's the funniest thing. All right, before we get to Gosnell, obviously, important movie, let's show the clip that we do have of you had a dust-up with none other than Tom Arnold. What exactly happened? Did I get this correct? He accused you of being a racist or something?
Yeah, he accused me on Twitter of being racist and anti-LGBT and then said I was complicit because I spoke at the Values Voter Summit about the film Gosnell. Yeah. So he said that, because you were there, you are guilty by association, and these are the people you run around with, and you're a racist and you're anti-LGBT. Well, it just turns out that I was going to do politicking with Larry King at the same day he was there.
Right.
And I saw him on the screen, and I thought, is he here? That's interesting. I'm going to ask him, because I've known Tom for a long time. And we're not great friends, but I've been, hi, how are you, whatever, and friendly. And so he came out, and he's like, hey, Dean Cain, good to see you. Give me like a little half hug and things. And I was just like, wow, I was there to talk about the film Gosnell. But I thought, he just called me a racist like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
But he's not saying a word about it. And so then he gets ready to leave, and I go, Tom, you called me a racist.
Yeah.
What is that about? And then he came over, and then somebody filmed it and put it out there. But, then it's the thing that happens with the Twitter warriors.
Right.
I'm going to call you all these awful things with no corroboration, nothing behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just throw out these ridiculous allegations, and then there's no consequence.
Right.
Well, I was there face to face, and I said, you're calling me a racist, and I'm not okay with that. Or anti-LGBT.
Right.
I'm not okay with that.
And people could go watch the whole clip. He just seemed to say, well, where did I say that? Where did I say that? Where did I say that? And then he obviously said it. What happened? But I didn't see what happened after that.
Well, he wanted me to show him the tweet, which I didn't have readily available on my phone. Maybe he didn't remember putting it out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Maybe he was in Canada where they have legalized marijuana right now.
Hey,
avoiding the feds.
Yeah. So then nothing happened to it. Basically, he said, "Oh, I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't talking about you," and was very, very not apologetic, but certainly wasn't the guy that he was the next few days on Twitter, where he's like, "Dean Cain's a p***, and I should have kicked his ass," and blah 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 blah.
Well, I mean, he saw your guns and was like, "I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about."
Well, I saw your highlight.
If you're going to call somebody that on Twitter, call them that to their face.
Yeah. What would you have done? What would you have done if he said, "Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that, Dean Cain. You're a p***."
Oh well, geez. Then I probably would have come at him with a little stronger language.
Uh-oh.
And maybe gotten in his face a little. I certainly wouldn't have fought him unless he were to strike me first.
Yeah.
In which case I would have to defend myself.
Yeah.
Vigorously.
What if he just started dancing like this? It's like drunken boxing. Yeah, I
would have to surrender for sure because that's intimidating.
What?
I would think he was having a seizure.
Yes.
A little epilepsy or something.
Crazy
Calling
beats
EMT.
Superman every time. It's the kryptonite for Dean Cain in real life is just insane. It's the insanity plea. It is bizarre. We just talked with James O'Keefe about this. Tom Arnold knows that he tweeted that too, and then he continued. He just lied. That's just a lie. So did you find that kind of caught you off guard because you didn't know how to react? Like, you don't expect a grown-ass man to just completely lie to save face?
No, because he's a coward, and a coward will do anything to get out of a tough situation. So no, I didn't expect that he would say, "You are a damn racist," and blah blah blah. Because if he had done that, then he was at least secure in his convictions. But I'm the farthest thing from a racist or a white supremacist or anti-LGBT. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. He knew it. He wasn't going to win that argument. He wasn't going to convince me I was a racist or anti-LGBT or anything like that, or a white supremacist, Japanese dude named Tanaka. Just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, well, you should just slap down your 23andMe and said, all right, Tom, your move. And then say, I think you're the white supremacist. Also,
he's a white supremacist to my face, just a racist, which I'm not sure what that's about. And then he also said the film Gosnell was some putrid pile of, whatever. Of course, this was like 4 days before it was released. Right. Or the day before it was like 4 days before it was released. And I know he didn't see one of the screenings. So how did he know that was a terrible movie?
Yeah, that's it. Well, and it's interesting to me because why would he say that? It seems to me that you have a lot of conservatives who said who have rightfully said it's one of the socially most important films in years. And one thing I think about Gosnell, a lot of people think that you find common ground in the center. I actually don't. I think sometimes you find common ground with people by looking at the most radical among us. For example, people who consider themselves pro-life or pro-abortion still look at Gosnell and go, all right, we can agree on that. We're not agreeing in the middle. We're agreeing on the crazy. So most people I've seen on the left have said, yeah, Gosnell's a monster. But some people, how has the reaction been overall?
Overall, it's been extremely positive. I keep hearing people talk about how they saw the film and its family members and friends of families and people that I know and trust. And they say they saw the film in a decently crowded theater, and it was dead silent through the credits, and then it sparked conversation. And it's things that people are talking about days and days afterward, and it sticks with them, and they're having the conversations because it's the kind of film that makes you think twice. I'm a pro-choice guy up until viability of the fetus. Not for my own life. I'm completely pro-life in my own life. I just wouldn't, if I were a legislator, if I were a lawmaker.
Boo! Boo! Racist! Boo!
Here's the thing. If we disagree on that, we can have a conversation, and that's great.
Yeah.
And, if viability at 20 weeks, at 5 months, is over 50%. And at 25 or 26 weeks, it's at 90%. I mean, and most states have that as their law. It's 20 to 24 weeks in there, and then unless there's extenuating circumstances, it's illegal.
Which is, by the way, considered really radical. Even if you look at the more liberal countries in Europe, we allow it to go very, very late. And here's one thing I will say with that. You mentioned viability. And obviously, I'm pro-life, and I don't want to get into a whole debate about it. But that argument, the more science comes in, ironically, the less viable that argument is. Because today, for example,
yes, I know.
You have a baby that's born in New York City. It's viable because it's in Lenox Hill Hospital versus the hills of West Virginia. Well, is one a life and one isn't, and so it's not something that can be applied consistently.
I agree with
my issue with it. But with Gosnell, that's not even a question.
But I agree with you.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly, I agree with you. And governmental change is incremental, and it should be incremental.
Yeah.
And I agree with that 100%. I just don't want to legislate giving government more power in that sense over what women can do with their body to a certain degree. Once it's somebody that's viable, once it's a viable child, then I think you have to put the foot down. I don't want it in my own life. I'm 100% pro-choice in my life. Pro-life in my choice. Yeah.
That one we take that Tom Arnold like, see, he's a fraud.
No, like I would never have that happen. And I've had it happen.
Yeah.
To me, I had a girl that I was dating that aborted a child, and that was one of the most devastating things in my life.
Yeah.
So I've lived through it, and I wasn't informed of the choice.
I can imagine. That's something that's often, we're stripped of that often. They say, well, no penis, no opinion. It's like, well, hold on a second. It took two people to make that baby, and just because physically you are not basically the vessel for the baby at that point. And I get it. That's a wonderful miracle of life. It doesn't mean that you don't have a say. And I've known several people where this has happened. What your story is not all too dissimilar from many people listening, and that turns a lot of guys very pro-life. But this is kind of a good example, right? We don't agree on everything as it comes to abortion, but we both agree on Gosnell. And do you think that's why the film has been it's been more widely well received than I anticipated? Do you think that's a portion as to why?
It could be. I mean, I think people, honest to goodness, really had no idea of what this guy was doing. They didn't understand that he was inducing live birth to viable children. Then they're out and they're viable. Here's a live child, and then snipping their spinal cords to ensure fetal demise. They didn't realize that's what he was doing. And there's examples. The film isn't graphic. The film doesn't show horrible things, but you see the emotional toll it takes on the mothers, the women who had abortions, women who changed their mind. There's one of a woman who changes her mind in between. He told them that he couldn't change her mind. He said, "No, you can't change your mind. You've already started." She's like, "No," and she bolted out of there and had her child.
Yeah.
And she gives incredibly powerful testimony. The film isn't gory, but it'll make you think and it'll make you talk about it in the way that we should be talking about it. And the truth is, there's probably clinics like that all over the country right now that people aren't aware of.
Yeah, that they absolutely do exist all over the country. And one thing, again, take a step back even further. Let's go to Planned Parenthood. Everyone goes, well, hold on, that's sensible. Well, actually, at Planned Parenthood, they are still taught to upsell. Abortion is where they make all of their money. We've this idea that I think it's only 7% of their profit comes from 7% of the revenue comes from abortion. So if you go in for an abortion, they do the math where doctor visit, ultrasound, medicine, the procedure. So basically, you've gone in for an abortion, but it counts as one of 5 services.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, exactly.
And
360,000 abortions a year. That's a big number.
Right. Yeah. And they are, we actually had Abby, I forgot his name, Abby Johnson on the show. We had her on the show, I believe, actually first before a book came out. And she was a former director of Planned Parenthood. And she said, we were told to basically get them in the stirrups and upsell them on abortion because that's the only way Planned Parenthood made money. Think about it. Birth control is effectively free. It's a $7 prescription for a lot of the stuff that they're passing out. That is their main moneymaker. So you even take Gosnell and scale it back to that. You go, oh, hold on a second. It's the same kind of business practices. It's the same business practice as a used car salesman. What was it like doing this film? Because, you hear a lot sort of like of Jim Caviezel when he did Passion of the Christ. He got electrocuted. You hear people who get into these roles that are just kind of deep, and sometimes it takes a little while to pull them out of that funk. Obviously, this is dark subject matter. What did it take a bit of a toll on you? Was it a little bit draining to be a part of the project and to kind of pull yourself out of it afterward?
No, not really, because I've seen some awful things in my day, which is unfortunate. Going over to Iraq in 2005 and seeing a lot of guys shot and blown up and things like that. Awful. Spending a lot of time around veterans and people like that. And having become a reserve police officer myself, you see awful things. And so you kind of get used to seeing that. I was playing a police detective. It doesn't make it okay to see it, but you can compartmentalize to some degree. Right. The thing is, we were shooting this stuff in the clinic. And we're shooting the clinic stuff, and I'm looking at the stuff, and there's cats running around and unsterilized equipment and trash bags full of, quote, fetuses and, milk cartons in the refrigerator full of fetuses and babies' feet in jars. And I said to the guys, I go, guys, I know we're doing this and you set deck all this stuff and you put this stuff, but aren't we pushing it a little far? I mean, aren't we just taking it a little far? And they go, you want to see the real footage? It's like, yeah, show me the real stuff. They go, sure. Show me the real footage. Exact.
Yeah.
Almost exactly the same. The place was a house of horrors. Girls were coming in and getting checked and things like that and leaving with venereal diseases. Right. Because he wasn't sterilizing equipment. He was making about $1.8 million a month. Or $1 million, I guess a year. And he was also dealing drugs. And he thinks he did nothing wrong. Yeah. He thinks he's helping these young girls out. It's just a frightening thing. And I just hope people continue to go out and see the film.
And Anne and Philem are meticulous about that. I mean, they do stage plays that are entirely based on transcripts and court testimony. So it's not the kind of thing they would mess around with because their entire reputation does rest on accuracy. Where can people find out as to where it's playing near them?
Gosnellmovie.com. Gosnell, Gosnell movie.com, and it'll show you. I'm going to go see it today. Again,
there you go. Well, don't say it with a smile on. It's a somber film. Come on, dude. Look, read the room. Read the Skype.
That's bad. Very bad. But I'm going to take my son to see it because I think it's important for him to see it. He's 18. Yeah. And I think it's really important for him to see it because he doesn't really have a thought process on it now. He's not thinking about being a dad. He better not be thinking about being a dad. He's not thinking about that. And it doesn't make any sense to him. But he doesn't really have he's a tabula rasa, a blank slate. He's going to go in there and be horrified. And I'm glad. I want him to be.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if a kid, you catch him smoking a cigarette and then you make him smoke the entire pack.
That sounds like it was personal, Steve.
Yeah, well, not exactly, but, it was unpleasant. In French Canada, you pretty much start with a whole pack anyway. Really quickly, I know you have some other I think you said you were filming like 2 films last week. Is there anything that you can kind of tease a little bit for people or no?
The biggest thing I want to tease now is a documentary that I'm doing, that I'm exec produce again. I did the one about the Armenian genocide. That's been huge. Architects of Denial. I'm currently doing one called Hate Among Us, which deals with the rise of anti-Semitism throughout the world and the rise in the number of people who are denying that the Holocaust took place. So it's kind of a strange world, that people can go, oh, no, that didn't happen. Oh, sure. Like Ahmadinejad who say, oh, yeah, no, there was no Holocaust. That didn't happen. Right. That's just made up. Nah, that's not the case. We're doing a documentary on that, which I'm really happy to promote and talk about. And, I also did the Kitten Bowl yesterday for Hallmark. So that's very important.
Yeah, well, thank you.
The Kitten Bowl.
Yeah.
Kitten Bowl.
Hey, you want to see what happens with the little long tails and the pouncy panthers,
I do. I feel like the Hallmark either has you on retainer or speed dial. Because when it's
they have me on a speed dial retainer. It's actually a weird combo. Yeah. And they have it. I love the Hallmark Channel because I love Christmas and listen, I say yes to a lot of projects. I'll do projects with friends of mine who are making a little $100,000 movie because they need people to say yes. And why not? Why not work? Why not? I'm an actor.
Yeah, no, I understand. Listen, I love watching those. I have Hallmark on a loop. Sometimes it's a little much. Sometimes I'm like, all right, listen to the same one like the last movie and the next movie. Let me put it on a break for a bit and let me go watch Scrooged or something. But
Scrooge is a good one.
Scrooge is a very good one. So the Armenian genocide, I know that documentary is out there. And listen, the worst case scenario, you deny the Armenian genocide, you just get the biggest, most highly supported YouTube news channel there is, and you become the main host of it.
Yeah.
That's how that works out. All right, Dean Cain at Real Dean Cain. Come on back when you have that. Come on back for any reason. It's been a spell since you've been here.
I know, and I miss you guys.
All right, we'll be back. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Actually, as a matter of fact, geographically, there is physical room for... I've had enough of your asbestos-laden smug talk. Fill your tumbler, you son of a... Louder with Crowder Studios. Protected exclusively by Walther. And Hopper.
Join the Mug Club because I've seen a lot of mugs in my day, and this is by far the best. This could function as a weapon. It's got a lot of girth, weight.
That's not at all what we rehearsed. First off, it's not the Mug Club, it's Mug Club. As a matter of fact, saying Mug Club instead of the Mug Club, the fact that you didn't even have to specify the means it is the only one that matters.
Ukraine's like that. It's just Ukraine, not the Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to take it from the top?
Mug Club has a girthy, weighty mug.
Also, we're sponsored by Walther, by the way. Great sponsor, Walther. Yeah. I'm going to take it from here. Great sponsor with Walther. If you can. Mug Club, $99 annually for those people. Listen, the free content that you see is ironically supported by the premium content. So even if you don't want to watch the show or the entire CRTV lineup or get this wonderful, exclusive, hand-etched, hand-painted mug, you still get to support the content. Of course, we do the show every single day behind the paywall. A lot of people saying, where's the rest of the Love Guru life advice segments? Well, that's if you join Mug Club. $99 annually. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. $69 if you're a student, veteran, active military. Of course, next week during the live stream, we will have a specific promo code during the U of M Spooktacular. See you then. On with the show. That's the drowning queen who was trying to be sexy with the drowning dance and then realized he was going to die.
Oh.
Thank you, Dean Cain, and to James O'Keefe, James O'Keefe III. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone who's been here. Great show, great few weeks of shows. Next week, huge show at U of M. I know, like I said, it's sold out, but is it the Point Place? What is it? We just listed it. It's up on the website. There's a new overflow room. We'll be doing giveaways, costume contests. Awesome. Owen's going to be there. Eric Nimmer, Gerald, some surprise guests, and it's a spooktacular costume contest. Bring your costumes. Make it a lot of fun. The more offensive the costume, the better. But, you know, it has to be something that's not a security risk. So next week, we'll be on the road. There's going to be another Tough Love with Guru Credit or Life Advice segment. So send your, is it Life Advice at louderwithcredit.com? I think so. Send your emails in for what you want us to help you with. That'll go up Monday, and then we'll just kind of have some updates because we will be on the road going to U of M, setting up Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday will not be normal shows. Big show. We're looking forward to it. Going back home. Really, this show started, a lot of people don't know this, effectively as an AM radio show up in Ann Arbor, Detroit. When it started. Before that, I had just done YouTube videos, short form videos, but then it started as a 3-hour morning show and then developed into what you see now. So looking forward to getting back there and, of course, being protested. Speaking of which, something I wanted to talk about. I know the last couple of episodes it's been practical advice, but it hasn't necessarily been inspiring. This is something that actually, when I was up north here taking a semi-long weekend, that hit me. Hold on a second. Quarter Black, say something.
What's up, man?
That's terrible. All right, I had enough of that. I just had to drink some water. For people listening, if you're not listening, by the way, you can always download iTunes. A lot of people are saying, well, if I'm on the road, YouTube doesn't work. Download it iTunes and catalog.
Yeah, that's the one thing that doesn't go down. Much club.
Yeah, there you go. I was up north with my wife, and she has a friend. I'm trying to think of how to do this without. I never want to reveal personal information that embarrasses anyone. This is a friend of the family, just a tremendous woman whose husband had passed away in the last, I think, year and a half. And she was talking about how hard it was. And when we asked how she was doing, it's one of those things where you often ask people, hey, how are you doing? And it leaves your mouth and you realize, oh, wait, this is who I'm talking to. Someone whose husband just died. And you feel terrible. But she didn't hold that against us. But she started talking about how hard it was. She started talking about maybe getting a gun because she lives in a remote area. She was talking about how lonely, it was, how hard it was just to adapt to being alone. And then she talked about something specific that stood with me. She said that her furnace went out. And she said that's what drove her off the edge. She said it was just one more thing, and the furnace went out, and I was thinking, how am I gonna have to fix this? And she said something that I think we've all said to ourselves, and I've heard a lot, and I read this a lot in the emails that you sent me. She said, I don't think I can handle one more thing. I'm at the point where I just can't handle one more thing, is what she said, and that's stuck with me. What I'm about to say, by the way, is do not take it as anything less than completely sympathetic to this woman in a horrible situation. I know a lot of people out there going through similar situations, some people going through situations that are even worse, some that might not be as bad. Matter of fact, not to get too much off on the tangent, but that's why we're going to U of M. That's why we created an overflow party after the room got full. The auditorium, the theater got completely full, and it's hosted by Eric Nimmer. Because, listen, we know that on campuses, especially places like Ann Arbor, no one has been othered. No one has been marginalized more than right-leaning, more than conservative students. It doesn't matter if you're black, you're yellow, white, male, female, trans. If you're conservative on campus, you've got some crap to deal with. You've been berated by students or by the current mobs, the M word we're not supposed to say. You've been failed by professors. You're afraid to speak out. And every now and then you probably just come to that point where you say, I don't think I can, you get an F on a paper. I just don't think I can handle one more thing. And I'm not saying that to compare it to someone whose husband died. The point is, everyone has a different burden to bear. And a little kid loses his toy. It doesn't seem like a big deal to us. In his scope of reality, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to him. He has everything to compare it to. So I understand that for a lot of people, this seems as big of a deal. We've often thrown our hands up. I just don't think I can handle one more thing. You're at that point. You're at the edge. And that's what this lady said, those words, I just don't think I can handle one more thing. Here's the good news for you. You can. You can handle one more thing. Often I see people, and I get these emails, I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know that I can handle one more thing. The good news is you usually, almost always can. Now, don't misconstrue what I'm saying here and what I'm about to say. I'm not saying that you should be living your life in a constant state of crisis where you always feel like you're at the end of your rope. You're always redlining the engine because that's a bad thing, okay? I've talked about that. You don't want to be that. And that's why it's so important to push yourself in a controlled environment, to learn your limits so that you aren't constantly pushing them. So I'm not saying you can always take one more thing. Yeah, take everything like, no, your life should not be that way constantly. What I am talking about here is when life has put you in a situation where you feel overwhelmed. I know a lot of you do. I felt it very recently, actually, where you feel like I just can't handle one more thing. I know a lot of you out there feel that way, and so I want to offer you encouragement. But you know what? I know that encouragement is not just done through feeling. So let's do something pragmatic. Let's do a thought exercise here. I want you to do me a favor, okay? Actually, whatever you're doing, take a second, take a deep breath. I want you to think back to the hardest point that you can remember in your life, okay? It's not pleasant, I know. I want you to think back to the last time you said to yourself, man, I just don't think I can handle one more thing. How long ago was that? Where were you when that happened? How did you feel? What led to that? I want you to actually put yourself back in that moment in time, okay? Are you there? Now, how are you here today? You're here now. Is your current situation, the way you're feeling now, is it worse than that one? Because you made it through that, when at that point you didn't think you could handle one more thing. And whether that was 5 years ago, that was 2 months ago, guess what? You're here. You not only handled one more thing, you probably had to handle 5, 10, 20, 100 more things, and you're still here. And for the most part, if you pick that moment in your life, you're probably better off now. Now, again, if you're you're removed from that chapter, having handled that, or multiple more issues that arose, you're probably in a better place now than you were then. Let me issue a caveat. Maybe that's not the case. There are some people out there, maybe the problem you're facing right now is actually legitimately worse than this situation that you thought of in your head. The situation that was previously the hardest time in your life, and you're answering this question going, actually, I think right now this is worse. Here's the good news. And I know this isn't going to sound like good news. You'll probably have a harder situation down the line than this one. Which means that down the line, you'll be looking back at this situation, even though it's harder than the one you just pictured 5 or 10 years ago. But 5 or 10 years from now, you'll look back on this as a time where you said, I can't handle one more thing, and you did it anyway. You handled one more thing. I'm not saying that what you're going through isn't hard. I'm not saying that it doesn't suck. I'm not even saying that this isn't the kind of situation that has brought people to their knees before. I'm not saying that someone's husband dying is an absolutely horrifying thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be cancer. It could be toxic you could have lost a relationship. My point is, just as surely as there have been people who've been conquered by this before, there have been people who've beaten it. There have been people who've come before you, whatever it is that you are dealing with right now, whatever it is. People have come before you and thought, man, I can't handle one more thing. And they could. They did. And they're better for it. And these people are often successes, and you don't even know it. A lot of the people who we see, we go, man, I wish I could be them. They're so successful. There's some pain in those people that you probably will never even know. And a big difference is when it came to that time where it's, man, I just don't think I can do one more thing. They did. The point is this. Almost invariably, when you say, I just can't handle one more thing, good news, you're wrong. You almost always, let me rephrase that. Don't even think of it as saying anything to yourself that I can't handle. Because that voice saying you can't, that's not you. So right now, make that decision that the voice you hear saying, I'm at the end of my rope, I don't think I can handle one more thing, it's not you. It's a voice saying you're at the end of your rope. It's a voice saying you can't handle one more thing. Now, you don't know who that voice is. Maybe you're a paranoid schizophrenic. Maybe you did bath salts. Maybe you did too much dab before your cerebral cortex was fully developed. Whatever, I don't know. That guy, that voice, that's another guy. You're the guy or girl who can always take one more thing. Decide that. You're the guy or girl when that voice says, I don't think you can handle one more thing, responds with, pipe down back there. Like Phil Hartman in Turbo Man, another reference to that, and takes action. Now again, if you find yourself living on this edge all the time, this is important, you have a problem. There are things you can control, and I've talked about, and there are things that you can't. You can control having a through line of balance in your life. You can control rest and recovery with hard work and not redlining that engine all the time. Do not misunderstand this. But the fact is, there's a lot more out there that you can't control. Cancer, a death in the family, like we said, bad relationships, the factory where you work shut down. I don't know what it is. You got an F on your paper because Charles Hermes is your professor and he didn't like that you said something about socialism. Sometimes you get some tough breaks, okay? And it's out of your control. And sometimes you get a string of them. But you do not have to let them beat you. And when you hear that voice, and it's not your voice saying, I just don't think I can handle one more thing, if you give in to it, you allow those traumas to define you. And it will bother you for the rest of your life. I've asked this question a lot. It's a question I often ask of people who are the best in any situation, whether it was Brendan Schaub, George St. Pierre. What's harder to accept? The mistakes that you could have avoided, where you go back and go, oh, I should have done this, or when you've done everything right, when you've done everything correctly, and you've come up short anyway. Almost invariably, the people who are successful, the people who are the best in their given field say, I think it's when I made a mistake myself. Because they can put their head in the pillow saying, I know I did my best. There was nothing else in my control that I could have improved upon. If you don't, these issues will bother you for the rest of your life. So for those of you out there feeling like you can't handle one more thing, let me read it. The good news is you can. And I'm not just saying hang on like a poster of a cat on a fireman's pole. I'm not just saying, hey, hang in there, buddy. I'm saying fight back. It doesn't matter that you're at the end of your rope. It doesn't matter that right now you feel like you can't handle one more thing. You can. And whatever that thing may be, give it hell. Choose right now. That voice is not yours. You will not allow it to define you. And the good news is, even though it's going to suck, it might be painful, you can handle one more thing. And to those feeling like this at the University of Michigan, reinforcements are on the way. October 25th. We're going to see you there. Power Center. Get ready. See you next week.